shirts. We'll get to that, but we're now joined by Baylor President Dr. Linda Livingstone right here on 365 Sports. Dr. Livingstone, Linda, thank you for your time. When did you first hear the name Charlie Baker, and what did you know of him at that time?
Well, good to be with you today, David. Always happy to join you and talk about all that's going on in the sports world. So, Governor Baker's name came up really as we began to look at potential candidates in the early fall. I would say he was nominated by someone, and the search firm Turnkey ZRG reached out. And so I did not know anything about him at that point in time. Certainly had never met him, but certainly have gotten to know him since then, and just am really excited about the opportunity of him leading the NCAA.
With the committee deciding to go outside of academia for the first, I don't know if it's the first time ever, but the first time in a long time, was it because the challenges presented need someone now who has been in the political arena, given that, there's legislation needed on several large issues to kind of make everything on the level playing field again?
Well, we did a lot of data gathering from both within and outside the NCAA with a diverse constituency groups as we built the job description and thought about what the next leader of the NCAA needed in terms of their background and experience. And it became clear, and we didn't have necessarily a view that it couldn't be someone within higher education or athletics, but there was a lot of openness across the constituencies to thinking differently and recognizing that it might take someone outside. It didn't mean someone inside couldn't have that diversity of experiences, because you wanted somebody that appreciated and understood college athletics, that valued higher education, that could help us work on a legislative strategy to help address some of these problems, that could help us think about how we maybe get more value out of more value out of the enterprise of the NCAA, and frankly, have the ability to take on and solve really complex, kind of vexing problems. And so, it's a pretty diverse set of skills we're looking for, but it meant we needed to look more broadly than maybe we had traditionally. And that was why someone like a Charlie Baker rose to the top.
What was Charlie Baker's kind of knowledge of the position, of the situation, of what that job might entail, of the description you just outlined? Like, what was his sort of IQ when it comes to the NCAA and that role walking into this situation?
Well, I thought he was very knowledgeable. He clearly had done his research and prepared and thought a lot about kind of what the issues are and the things that the NCAA faces. But I will also say he's very humble about knowing what he knows and what he doesn't know. He asks lots of good questions. He's very thoughtful, and he knows he has a lot to learn. Honestly, anybody going to that job would have a lot to learn, even if they were a university president or even if they had come out of college athletics. Because it's just a complex job, and there's a lot of issues that the NCAA deals with that probably a lot of people don't know and aren't that close to it. So I think he's going to approach it very thoughtfully. He understands the urgency of some of the issues, but he also knows that he does have a lot to learn, and he's going to be there to listen and learn and really work collaboratively across a diverse constituency base to help move the institution forward.
As you know, with the transfer portal, NIL, realignment, TV deals, and so much more, so much is on the table, so many moving parts. You're part of that transformational committee. Is there anything near or around the corner that might put more structure into all of that?
Well, the Transformation Committee continues its work and will be really wrapping up its work here at the end of the year and moving some issues forward for the Division I board to be considering and thinking about. And then there's going to be ongoing work that has to happen in a number of these areas. I think the way we need to think about this is there's a level of transformation change that's going to happen because of the Transformation Committee. And certainly some has already happened in the areas that you mentioned. There's clearly more that needs to be done. But the transformation process will not end with the work of the Transformation Committee. There's going to continue to need to be ongoing transformation of the NCAA on many different levels. And the ones you mentioned are important. I think one of the challenges in those spaces are some of the things that I think we all feel like need attention as it relates to the transfer portal NIL will be very challenging without some federal legislation that focuses on preemption of state laws and some other things because there are over 30 state laws, all very different about NIL. Some of the things you'd want to regulate at the NCAA level are actually possible according to some state laws, and other state laws are actually prevented from being able to do this. So without some kind of a national framework on NIL, it becomes very challenging to have a consistent model that treats all student athletes fairly and gives them appropriate opportunities for NIL without there being abuses as it relates to incentives to attend a particular school and so on, as we know there's a lot of concern about right now.
One of the other skills that Charlie Baker appears to have through his political career is he is a Republican governor in a very Democratic state historically in Massachusetts and has navigated that fairly well in a time that it's not easy to do that in America. I am sure that it is similar to navigating these controversial issues when you come to universities of different sizes and needs and overall goals. Is that one of the qualities you and the committee liked about him, that he can sift through some of that can get a little bit snippy?
Well, absolutely. It's clear anybody who's a Republican governor in a Democratic state and has won re-election there and has the highest approval ratings of any governor in the state, according to Morning Consult, who is an independent, agency that kind of looks at those things, has the ability to take issues that can be very controversial, have people with very different views on what should be done, and bring them together to find solutions and to solve problems. So it was a really important part of what we look for. We know we certainly have some legislative issues that we're going to need to work across the aisle on, but even beyond that, within the NCAA, there's such diversity of membership and types of schools and the needs of those schools, certainly across the divisions 1, 2, and 3, but even within Division 1, for instance, there's a lot of diversity in schools. So having someone that has a track record of success at working with divergent perspectives and bringing people together to solve problems was really important to us.
Dr. Livingstone, we saw the news today that athletes or football players will not be charged with, eligibility as far as playing in their bowl games. It won't count towards their 4 games they can play in, and then the red shirt applies. Can you take us into that discussion and that decision?
Well, that decision was not made at the level at which I work within the NCAA, so that we have a committee structure that allows some of those decisions to be made within committees that focus particularly on the specific sports. And then there's a management council that oversees some of that, make sure that there's not any kind of systemic implications that would be problematic. So, I think, and I don't know, I was not involved in the conversation, but I think especially as you see students going into the portal late in the season now and students choosing to step out of bowl games because they want to go to the pros. I don't know for sure, but I suspect there was a bit of a practical aspect of this too, to help ensure the team had the right numbers of players and in the right positions to actually be able to field competitive teams in the bowl games. But I would have to defer to someone else that was more involved in that decision to speak to the specifics of it.
You could actually have a quarterback who's going to the NFL opt out early. Somebody else transfers. Somebody else is injured, and you don't have a quarterback. Or you might have maybe a walk-on or two, and so that maybe will allow that to be a little bit less, of a bad situation. Brett Yormark, he came in. He had a lot of vision. You were there the day you introduced him back in July at Big 12 Media Days in Arlington. Can you already see the difference, the brand of the Big 12 changing in just a short amount of time?
Oh, for sure. We're so excited about Commissioner Yormark and the energy and kind of forward-thinking approach he's taking to the conference. And I think you've seen that already just with the way the football championship game was framed differently. obviously the hard work he's done on the media agreement for the future, this business advisory group that he's put together, and then some of his new hires. That's kind of a new day in the conference, and that we're going to really be aggressive and thinking differently about how we do the work we do, how we promote the activities that we have, how we create energy and excitement around Big 12 sports. And he's been great to work with. I'm on the executive committee of the Big 12, and so we meet with him regularly as he keeps us updated, and just can't say enough about his leadership. And he's only been on board about 4 months, and he's already made significant changes and really set us up well for the future. So we're excited about what he's doing and what that says for the Big 12 as we bring in new schools next year.
Is part of that vibe what's maybe going on with Texas and Oklahoma might be able to leave a year early and everybody can get to the conference shape and structure that's going to be in the future sooner because things are moving so well right now within the conference?
Well, I think we want to do what's in the best interest of the Big 12. And, we will work closely with the new schools, bringing them in to make sure that transition happens in a really healthy and effective way. And we will work closely with OU and Texas to help that transition happen in a good way, regardless of whether it's in a year or in 2 years. And we want it to be positive for everybody, and everybody's working to that end.
Can you see, and I asked Mac Rhodes this too, Dr. Livingstone, earlier this week, but if in fact Texas and OU leave a year earlier than planned, is there any scenario, unless it does scratch any itch the Big 12 has or its members, that they can just walk away without having to pay a nice penalty or whatever that specific fee would be?
Well, I think it's important to the conference and to the schools in the conference that that transition does not harm the schools in the conference from a financial perspective or from the perspective of kind of the competitiveness and everything on the field. And so, again, we're committed to that. We're committed to working with OU and Texas to get to a good resolution on that. And everybody's involved in those conversations in healthy and positive ways. And so I feel like we'll get to a good place on that transition regardless of when it happens.
Do you think there's a really good chance that they may be gone after 2023 and everybody can move on?
I'm not going to predict that at this point in time. I wish I had more insight to exactly when that was going to happen, but I certainly know that that's part of the conversation. We'll see whether that happens or not.
When I sat down and interviewed you in June of 2017 at Pat Neff Hall, it was a very difficult time for Baylor University. You now were a part of helping find the new NCAA president. You're a part of the transformational committee, the board of governors, and the Big 12, and much more. Did you ever in your wildest dreams feel like you would make that kind of move and be a part of those things that quickly?
Well, I certainly wouldn't have. When we were sitting there in 2017, we had a lot of things we were working on internally at the university and lots of things we needed to focus on. But I will just say, I think it's a testament to Baylor and our mission. It's a testament to the Baylor family, our faculty, staff, students, and certainly all of our alumni and friends out there that have rallied around Baylor, that have bought into our vision of Illuminate and really being a preeminent Christian research university with nationally competitive athletic programs. And we've gotten the support we needed from the board, from within the institution, and from a fundraising and other perspectives. The Baylor families come around us. Of course, we've got amazing leadership of Mac Rhodes, and then obviously the rest of my leadership team that has really put the university in that window of time in a really good position. And I think because of that, we have opportunities now on a national stage to have impact and influence. And to do it in that window of time, given where we started in 2017, I think is really wonderful. But again, I can't say enough about just everybody that kind of rode in the same direction to get us to this point. And we have so many more opportunities ahead if we keep working together on these things. So I look forward to the things we're going to be able to do together, both on the campus and off the campus, as we look forward.
Thank you for your time today, and enjoy your weekend. We appreciate you.
Hey, thanks so much. Really appreciate the time and always happy to talk.
Yes, ma'am. That's Dr. Linda Livingstone, president at Baylor. She's the chair of the Transformational Committee. She was very much a part of Charlie Baker and that search to become the new president, the NCAA. If you haven't read the story by